What's going on, everyone? This is QD Paintball, and today we're going to be doing a comparison video between the Etha 2 and the Gtek 160r. So what's kind of pushed me to make this video is recently I've noticed there's been a lot of questions asked on whether people should buy the Etha 2 or spend a little bit more money and get a Gtek or a Gtek 160r. So today I'm just going to kind of give my input since I've owned all these markers that are in question. And I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of these three markers to kind of give a informed opinion on it. To help maybe inform you as the buyer on which marker may fit your needs best. The Etha 2 for a new price is at $400. You can buy these used at around $250 to $300. $250 if you're lucky, to maybe $350 at the higher end, depending on how new it is. So this is definitely Pointed Eclipses' lower mid-tier marker, I would say, as I think it's above the Mini GS really, though the price is relatively comparable. Etha 2 coming in a little bit higher. The Gtek 160r, brand new, comes in at around $700. I personally got this Gtek for $565, if you want to be exact. Though it did come with the Pops ASA and a blade trigger. Ergonomics. PE has been known for having some of the best ergonomics in the game. All their markers kind of follow the same language of a longer stretched out feel, which I think allows for really good control and marker handling when you're playing. The Etha 2 is no exception to this. You have a very comfortable back grip. The body's made of GRN, glass reinforced nylon. The front grip, unlike the Gtek 2, is just the GRN material. It's a little thicker because it houses a 9-volt battery. Some people may be off-put by that, as the grip is a little on the bulkier side. But when you hold up the gun, it is a very solid, rigid feeling marker. There is no flex at all when you pull this gun up. There's no twisting or anything. There's no give. It's very confidence inspiring, and I think I may actually prefer the ergonomics of the Etha 2 over the Gtek, but like I said, ergonomics are really just personal opinion and may differ for everyone. The Gtek, also a very comfortable marker to hold up. The back grips are maybe slightly more comfortable compared to the Etha 2. The Etha 2 has quite a bit of ribbing maybe. The back grip is a little thicker compared to the Etha 2. Very comfortable though. All their markers are very comfortable. In the front you have the regulator with a rubber cover. Now this rubber cover has a little bit of rotation and give to it. So when you pull up the marker, you torque that front handle. It doesn't have quite that same solid feeling as the Etha 2, given that this is just built into the body, but it's still very comfortable. As I said before, the Etha 2 is made out of GRN. It's a relatively hefty marker, weighing in around 845 grams. The Gtek 160r came in at 802 grams. Now this is with batteries installed, my current setup with the Pops ASA, blade trigger, and no barrel for each of these. Maintenance and features. The Etha 2 and the Gtek all carry the same core, the Gamma core. It's been a tried and true system. It's very robust and reliable, and shouldn't ever really let you down, no matter like the temperature outside or whether you've performed maintenance on it recently. So in that regard, maintaining the bolt is identical between the two markers. Now accessing the features or parts of these markers is really where it differs. You have the Etha 2, which is on a much newer platform, which shares a lot of similarities with the CS2. And then you have the Gtek, which kind of follows the older platform like the Geo 3.5s and the LV1s. So with the Etha 2, you have the tools rear grips, super simple, pretty similar to the CS2. You really don't need to access this portion of the marker unless you're like me and you like to wash these with like a toothbrush if there's paint in them. Then the grips, you have a quick guide on what the LEDs stand for. With the back bolt, it's a twist off. You should be able to do this by hand, no issues. Then you pull out the bolt. The front grip uses a quick release system, a tab system to remove the 9-volt battery. It's not like you would ever really use this feature that often, but it's a nice feature to have. The eyes use a prism system. The eyes aren't actually connected to the eye covers. The covers, unlike the CS1s or the CS2s, you have to use the Allen key to access, but they're super easy to pull off, wipe them down, and reinstall into the gun. The Etha 2, the bottom portion of the frame, the trigger frame, and the front grip is connected to the upper half of the body through 2 bolts located here and here. The body lifts from the upper portion lifts from the lower via a hinge at the front. It's a completely clean wireless connection as the board is located between the 2 halves, making disassembly incredibly more simplified compared to the Gtek. With the Gtek, you still have the regulator in the front, AT pipe connecting the trigger to the reg. So when you take this apart, you have to disconnect this. You have the quick release bolt in the back, which also hides one of the frame screws. So you have one here and one here. Now when you pull apart the 2 halves, you have to disconnect the eye harness from the grip. As you can see here, the wires kind of tether the 2 halves together, which makes accessibility to the internals not as easy and streamlined as the Etha 2. Shot quality. The markers, like I said, shoot the same core. Very similar feel. Very smooth, very quick. Snappy. Not as snappy as, let's say, as a M3, a die M3, or maybe the DSR, or the X with the inline poppet, but still a very, very smooth system. Where I found that they really differ is that the Gtek has a quieter, more muffled sound, so it has a lower pitch shot to it, which is a little bit more pleasing, I think, compared to the Etha 2. But other than sound quality or sound, they're very similar. Pointability. This is, I think, another area where playing with these 2 markers may differ for everyone. The Etha 2 has a bulkier body, as we kind of went over, with the GRN body covering a metal tube inside. The body has definitely gotten kind of thicker, kind of bulkier, where it may be a little off-putting for some people to aim, like myself. I like to aim or line up the back portion of the body to the front of the barrel, and because this end of the Etha 2 is so thick, compared to the Gtek. It can make aiming a little bit more different or difficult compared to a more streamlined marker like the Gtek, which is more like more conventional in its milling compared to the Etha. I'll show a diagram here which may help explain my thought process and how I aim and point with these markers. So I'm going to try my best to explain pointability using this diagram here. As you can see, we have the Gtek 160r and you have the Etha 2. The profile of these markers are different, as you can see. The 160r has a much thinner back compared to the Etha 2. Just like how in real life, looking down, just like these triangles, looking down on top of the profile of these markers, the Gtek 160r is substantially thinner than the Etha 2. As I mentioned earlier in the video, when I like to point and aim with my markers, I like to aim lining up the tip of the barrel here with the back of the gun here, down the side profile of the marker is how I like to aim. Now, back to this diagram. We have the paintball here, which is a straight trajectory through the gun, right? Unless you're shooting really shitty paint. This green line represents your vision, or what you see from the end of the gun to the tip of the barrel. And then this represents downrange, what you're seeing. Because of the Etha 2's thickness, because it's wider, so much wider than the barrel from the back, your trajectory, your paintball is going to be landing much further to the side than what you're actually seeing. Kind of like lining up the crosshair or iron sights on an actual gun. This is going to be landing significantly more off the tip of the barrel than compared to a much more conventionally milled gun like the Gtek 160r. So when you're snap shooting and you have these 2 points lined up at your target down the field, you're going to have to compensate more and maybe aim 6 inches or so off your barrel to make sure your gun is already pointed and you have paint ready to land on your intended target. Now, obviously this is exaggerated, the profile of these markers, but it's a proof of concept. Hopefully this diagram is somewhat understood. So in conclusion, PE provides these amazing, fantastic markers for the money. Extremely competitive compared to the competition. You have the Etha 2 that comes in at $400, like I said, is absolutely feature packed for the money. It's a perfect rec ball gun, woods ball gun, extremely durable, with the higher end engine in it. It's certainly able to compete with the $1,500 guns out there. It's definitely tournament ready. So I think for anyone, you can't make a wrong choice picking this marker. In my opinion, it is the best marker you can buy for the money. Now, if you can't get past the ergonomics of it or the pointability, and it's just aesthetically, since paintball is probably too big when it comes to aesthetics. Like it's become too much of an important thing. Now, if aesthetics are an issue, and you play speedball all the time, and really don't have a need for something that looks as militaristic as Etha 2 or ruggedized, the Gtek 160r with the all aluminum body is a fantastic pointing marker. Performance wise, it is on par with the high-end markers. Feature wise, with its more dated platform, it's a little questionable in that sense. Now, if that doesn't bother you, if maintaining the gun isn't too big of a deal, isn't too much of a deal breaker, 160R is a great choice, without a doubt. So where's this leave the Gtek? The Gtek is the mid-range marker out of the three, which comes in around $500. And from what I can tell, for $500 you can easily find a bundle which includes the OLED screen. For $600 you get that with the GMEC frame as well. So you essentially get two markers for the money, which I think is a great value in itself. As PE, I think, kind of pushed their own Gtek out of the market, the GMEC definitely makes the Gtek a much more relevant gun at this point. So quickly jumping back to the 160R, I don't know if anyone has noticed, if you've been online, there's been pictures going around of a potential Gtek 2 marker, which is fairly exciting. It seems like from the images, they're going to be combining the Gtek with the features and the updated platform of the Etha 2. Here's an image of kind of what I've thrown together and how I think it may look. It's certainly something to look forward to in the future, as I think that's probably going to be the next marker I end up buying. So I hope this video was informative and can help you guys make an informed decision on what marker may suit your needs best. If you guys have any questions, just comment below. Thanks for watching, guys. I wanted to make a quick plug. So the Etha 2, the trigger is not fantastic stock, as you have this metal spring, which really is limited with the amount of adjustments you can make to the trigger, and it makes it feel a little clumsy and not very smooth. You guys can contact this guy Jesse, who makes these awesome 3D printed inserts, which house 3 different magnets. There's 3 different options of magnets. One is already in my Etha 2, and it turns into a magnetic tension trigger. Completely changes the way the trigger feels. It's incredibly smooth now. There's still side to side play, but the actual trigger pull is so much better than it was. I would go as far to say that this trigger feels better than an LV1 trigger or a Geo trigger. It's a great upgrade for $16. I would highly recommend it if you're an advocate for the Etha 2. I'll leave his information down below in the description. Thanks again.